Just went to the workshop to sharpen a chain while I was waiting for the rice to cook. Doesn't look like I'm going to get anything done today. So we're going to have a little cooking course. We're going to have a cooking show instead. Surprising what you can do with tofu if you know how. I think some people get fed up with it. You can be creative. It's quite nice if you bread the tofu and bake it. It doesn't need to be fried. This is going to be bulgogi. Korean bulgogi. Eventually I'd quite like the retreat to be more or less vegan, not have to rely on any dairy products. I don't know how many people are going to be into that. I found that in retreat people are much more attached to food than they are when they're at a retreat. It's because they have very little distraction. But I think the people I want to have here are not the sort of people who are going to be worried about what they eat. What I'm looking for are people who are concerned with meditation practice, primarily. But it seems like they're few and far between. There are very few people who seem to have the notion that they need to practice intensely. And the ones who are like that, then they tend to travel. They go to India or somewhere, or they go to a retreat somewhere, in another country, in Asia. Really, if the Dharma is to come to our country, to Canada, then we need people who are either learned in the scriptures or people who have realization. They've got meditation. And both of these are very rare. We do have a certain amount of people who apply themselves to the outer aspect of the Buddha Dharma. But it's rare to find anyone who actually holds the transmission of the texts or of the realization of the inner meaning of the Buddha Dharma. And so for that reason, then I am trying to establish a meditation retreat. Right? It's not the sort of place where you're going to go for a 1-week retreat. It's to be able to support people who want to spend their lives practicing. Well, that's really difficult, right? Because if you haven't got a job, you haven't got any money, somewhere to live, and it's very difficult to practice. So what I want to do is set up a not-for-profit organization and use that to support people so they can just concentrate on their practice, whatever that is. Practice their meditation or Varayana practices, in the hope that if they are able to dedicate themselves, then results might arise. And that's what we need. We need people with results of practice. And don't listen to the people who say you don't need to practice and it's easy, because you're not going to get anywhere doing that. It's very rare to find people who have the results of practice, and it's basically impossible for those who are lazy. Right, I better get some lunch down my gullet, and then maybe I'll be able to get some work done today. If I can't work outside, at least I can clean up the workshop. It's a complete mess. See you later. You might ask, what's the point in making such a good joint for a shed, for a sawmill? It's going to be sitting out in the forest.
Well, as you know, I'm pretty much a beginner. So what I'm trying to do is develop my skill base, because eventually I have to build some meditation huts. And so if I do this, I get a nice strong shelter, but I also develop my skills. And I have to say, the joints are getting tighter. They're getting better the more I do it. That's the way it is, right? The same in meditation. The more you practice, the better you get. If you look at the way that the Japanese masters practiced, then they did everything to very high quality and best of their ability. This is also a main point in the Vajrayana. Whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability. So although at first my joints might be a little bit rough, slowly, then the quality will improve. It's inevitable, right? And that's the same way you should apply yourself to meditation. Start off with what's easier and simple, and then progress to the more difficult things. For example, I'm not going to start off by making a handmade Japanese screen. I'm going to start off by making a crude post for an outdoor shelter. So in your meditation, don't worry about realizing non-duality, coming to recognize the unborn. First thing you need to do is take control of your mind, and especially to reduce your negative emotions, your kleshas. You try it, test it, try it again. We learn through our failures. It's not like we can suddenly just have success at everything we do. And little by little, then your practice becomes more refined. Self-reliance is very important for a meditator. You look at the masters of the past, and they would go off into the wilderness, into a cave. Just bring a bag of barley with them. Very basic provisions. Some butter or fat. Things that would last for a long time. And then they could just meditate. Well, this is a slightly different kind of video. But some people did ask for instructions on meditation. Well, this is your meditation instruction. You've got to chisel away at it, little by little. Go slowly and carefully as you practice. And then it's certain eventually you will achieve awakening. But it takes time. Just like it takes time to grow a beautiful Zen garden or to build a temple. It takes time to develop experience and realization. You know, if it's just for me, I don't need a retreat center. If I wanted to, I could just go to Nepal, go into the mountains. And also, I'd be perfectly happy just living on a boat and meditating, exploring the islands, just coming into town once in a while, get a bit of food, find some water, that sort of thing. But it's my hope that in my own country, with my own people, that there should be some individuals who gain meditation. Because it's based on individuals in your own country having experience and understanding the Dharma, then the Dharma will spread. will be living in your own country. You have to have those who are learned in the words, but also those who have experience in meditation. And without that, the Dharma is just dry. It's not living. And this is the problem for many Western scholars, PhDs in Buddhism. They see the Buddha Dharma to be all about the words. And so they think, if they know which text was written in which century, and what the different words mean in Chinese, Sanskrit, and Tibetan, then that's good enough. That's of no use whatsoever. The words are just a method to come to realize the meaning. And realizing the meaning means that the meaning of the Dharma arises in one's own mind stream. Then the words are useful. Because once the meaning has arisen in your own mind, then you can use the words to help guide others to come realize the truth. Now, they don't have to be the words from the sutras. They can also be instructions on mundane and daily things, like carpentry, poetry, art. But if you yourself have no understanding, experience, or realization, then the words are useless. They're just books in libraries. Statues on altars, paintings and tankas.